Well, happy Friday, everybody. Hope you're doing well and have had a good week. Today is story time. Also want to thank those of you who've been concerned about Cousin Ralph. Haven't heard from him yet, but heard from a few people, from Nathan at Dog is My Co-Pirate. Apparently Cousin Ralph spent a little bit of time with him in Montana and helped him put a new engine in his truck. And then where he went between there and Georgia, I don't know, but he was down at Frank and Tina's in Georgia and helped Tina take care of her chickens for a bit. That's right up Cousin Ralph's alley, I tell you. He likes chickens. And the last report we had, he had headed north from there into Tennessee. He was up in the Tri-City areas of Tennessee, up Bristol, Johnson City, Kingsport area. And Life with Mike spotted him in the woods behind his place, talking to a groundhog. And that sounds just like Cousin Ralph as well. Probably talking politics. All right, let's get to today's topic, shall we? And what is that? Well, have you ever been to a World's Fair? The last World's Fair I attended was in 1982 in Tennessee, as it happens. And it was in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I had quite a good time. But let's have a look at the first World's Fair, shall we? The first World's Fair, a smashing success. England's hugely popular 19th century Exposition set the standard by which all subsequent World's Fairs would be judged. In her diary on May 1st, 1851, Queen Victoria could barely contain herself. "This day is one of the greatest and most glorious in our lives," she gushed. England's monarch wasn't referring to a glorious military triumph, but to the opening of the awkwardly named Great Exhibition of the Works of Industry of All Nations, or as it later came to be identified, the First World's Fair. Who could blame Victoria for such lavish overstatement? Her husband, Prince Albert, was in charge of the great event, no doubt influenced by the successful French Industrial Exposition of 1844. The prince formed the Royal Commission for the Exhibition of 1851 to look into ways of bringing a similar event to England. Held at the height of the Industrial Revolution, the Great Exhibition's objective was to demonstrate the leading manufacturing and engineering achievements of the day and to display top arts and crafts that the world had to offer. Some contemporary cynics, including philosopher Karl Marx, sneered at the event, dismissing the inaugural expo as a thinly disguised attempt for England to show off its economic, industrial, and military might. And show off it did. On the premises of London's Hyde Park rose the event's centerpiece, the famous Crystal Palace, which would be imitated at subsequent World Fairs. The structure, made of iron and glass and resembling a massive greenhouse, housed more than 1 million exhibits from England, its 15 colonies, and 25 other countries around the globe. On opening day, 300,000 visitors paid their shilling entrance fee and eagerly made their way through the expo, marveling at such displays as the world's largest organ, a knife with 80 blades, a prototype for a submarine, and the world's first life-size recreations of dinosaurs. The U.S. exhibits included such diverse offerings as furniture made out of coal, a Colt revolver, modern kitchen appliances, a model of Niagara Falls, and an astounding envelope machine that could process 60 pieces of mail per minute. The event was popular right from the start and became an overwhelming success when the organizers dropped the price to a penny to allow working families to take part in the festivities. Special train services were set up to run from all parts of England to London. When the doors finally closed in October of 1851, more than 6 million people had filed through the Crystal Palace, almost a third of England's population. Curiously, the contraption that drew the most attention and proved to have lasting value wasn't even an official exhibit. Public flush toilets made their debut at London's Expo, a brilliant innovation for which fairgoers ever since have been truly grateful. A few little tidbits after that. The immensely popular Crystal Palace was relocated after the fair so it could be made permanent. It was subsequently lost in 1936 in a fire. Chicago's 1893 World's Fair introduced the Ferris wheel. The 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri marked the debut of iced tea, or sweet tea if you're from the Southeast. At the 1939 World's Fair in New York, Franklin Delano Roosevelt became the first president to appear on television. The Space Needle, located in Seattle, Washington, was built for the 1962 World's Fair. And if you're an Elvis Presley fan, there was also a movie made at the 1962 World's Fair starring Elvis. So, hope you've enjoyed today's little tidbits and information about the World's Fair. So it started in 1851 and we still have them today. Last time I was close to one, I didn't actually attend, but was close, was the 1986 World's Fair in Vancouver, British Columbia. Although my son, who was a young tyke at the time, went with some friends and had a good time. Alrighty, now you've listened to that about the World's Fairs, you probably think it's fair that you hear a groaner. Alrighty, let's get to it. Well, an elderly lady who wasn't really one to complain, and usually was quite short and didn't suffer fools very well, had a terrible, terrible earache. And after fighting it herself for several days and trying warm compresses and taking aspirin and whatever else she could think of, she finally gave up and went to see her physician. Well, the doctor examined her and he looked in his ear and he said, "Wait a minute, what's this?" And he took his pair of tweezers and looked in her ear and he grabbed the end of a little piece of string and he started to pull it out. And he kept pulling. And more string after more string kept coming out. Well, after he pulled out about 3 feet of string, it kind of stuck. And it just didn't seem to want to come. And so he tried to look further into her ear to see what was going on. He couldn't see anything. So the lady finally said, "For pity's sakes, just give it a yank and get it out of there." So the doctor, taking her advice, did exactly that. He just wrapped a string around his hand a couple of times, got a good grip on it, and just yarded with everything he had. And out popped a bouquet of flowers. And in stunned awe, he looked at the flowers and he looked up at the elderly lady and he said, "Where on earth did these come from?" And the elderly lady shook her head and went, "Well, how should I know? Read the card." That was a real groaner for you. I hope you got a good groan out of that one. Got your groan out of your system for the week. Alrighty, until Tuesday with Tuesdays with the Pilgrim, and next Friday when we'll be, probably doing something in the kitchen. Take care, stay safe, God bless, and have a wonderful weekend.